Tū mai rā te tupu au te o takahue. Whakawhiti atu I te hokianga whakapau karakia. Oh, aroha mai. Me tiki I te clicker. A me timata anō ne. Tū mai rā te tupu au te o takahue. Whakawhiti atu I te hokianga whakapau karakia. Rewa ake rā ngā kohu whakamārama tau iho ki ngā kere whenua o te rarawa kaiwhare. Rere ana rā ngā auahi ngā rahu I te pūtake o parihaka ki whāngā rei. Huki atu ki tūranga nui a kiwa ki ngā tai huka o Wainui. Huki atu rā ki te auaunga ki o Wairaka. E tangi ana te pā o te patu aute I te atatū. Rere atu, rere mai ngā manu aute tuku iho, whāngaia tōku wairua ki ngā karere o ngā atua. Toi tū te uru aute ko te aute I te hihiri. Toi tū te uru aute ko te ngāo I te mahara. Toi tū te uru aute ko te ngāo kāraranga, pāo, tapa, tipa e. Pāo, tapa, tipa e. Toi Māori. Hiaha tēnei mea te toi Māori. What is toi Māori? All physical things first begin as an idea. Something intangible like a dream or vibration, existing in the great void, the space of potential, before manifesting into te ao marama. Creation is a spiritual practice. Te ōrokohanga o te ao, the creation of the world as we know it, was ordered by the warring and coupling of the gods. These interrelations and tensions have structured our universe and are reflected in our creative processes that we use to make toi Māori. Through our toi Māori, we slip into the well-worn grooves of our creation stories. By repeating our tauira tuku iho, the patterns, the curves, the forms, we explain and reinforce our ways of seeing and add on to the lineage of toi Māori. Hei tauira, Robin Kahukiwa's Puka Puka, Wahine Toa, is like a wharenui, keeping our stories alive. She has captured the imagination of a generation, and her paintings, like our carvings, are like USBs for our pūrākau. Her toi Māori has informed how we see ourselves, but she has also furthered the whakapapa of toi Māori through her reinvigoration of our pūrākau about our atua wahine. For me, toi Māori is about a feeling, the feeling of the present moment demanding every corner of my consciousness, the feeling of moving my muscles in the same motions as my tupuna. It is the satisfaction of moulding our taiao materials into forms that are so well crafted, they don't look handmade anymore. They look tupuna made. Our taonga tuku iho are so well crafted. The shapes are so sleek. They use technology and processes that were so sophisticated that we can work for years trying to reinvigorate different practices. But ultimately, we will always be able to go back to these taonga, and they will continue to be timeless and executed to the highest level of excellence. Toi Māori is the cultivation of excellence. The two main influences that led me to the practice of Aute are kohatu and waka. I started working with our taiao materials in a paper at Auckland Uni with Matua Dante Bonica. The wānanga was rich in my reo Māori and Māori studies papers, but the wānanga with the materials, hoanga, pipi shells, obsidian, muka, that was the wānanga reinforcing the kōrero, making me move like my tupuna and understand how they saw their world. I was privileged to do some sailing on Hokulea and Haunui Waka. Hokulea is the manifestation of a dream to sail in the wake of their ancestors, and seeing firsthand the impact Hokulea had on her people helped me understand the power of reawakening our cultural practices. Nainoa Thompson would often say to us that the ocean connects islands, it doesn't separate them. But it wasn't until I was on the waka sailing that I actually understood what he had told us in my body. For our tupuna, coastal sailing was the fastest way to get from A to B. The ocean wasn't just a pātaka kai, it was their state highway 35. Our bodies contain memory, and our toi Māori practices activate that knowing. I came to learn about Aote when Matua Dante was showing me this tree and revealing that the bark could be beaten and turned into cloth. But it wasn't until I went to Hawaii and learned about Hawaiian kapa and beat the bark of their vauke that I actually heard what he had told me. Māori made tapa cloth too, like our whanaunga from Te Moana Nui a Kiwa. Whakaotirangi is the famed tupuna to have brought over Aote along with other essentials like kumara and taro. Tū Horonuku is the famed manu Aote that Rahiri, my tupuna, flew over the Hokianga to divide his territory between his two sons. Aote has always existed in our pūrākau, but it wasn't until I was physically beating the vauke in Hawaii that woke something up inside me, and I dreamed of one day making my own manu Aote as big as me to fly over the Hokianga. At first I studied our beaters at the Auckland Museum, and I made my own tools in the old way, using toki, hoanga, pipi shells, and shark's teeth. This process was key to accessing maramatanga for how our tupuna worked, but it also changed the way I understood time. It's the physicality of working in this way, the endurance, the repetitive motions, and the challenge to execute something well using kohatu and shells. Those early days of making Aote with no pukenga Aote were tough. I made every mistake, and this is my first piece of Aote that I made, and I show you this photo because it's important to show where it all began. And it's kind of like a before photo. Over the past 10 years, I have developed a process I believe our tupuna would have followed to make Māori bark cloth, through studying our tools at the museum and learning that every island has their own distinct process and visual language. I researched the diverse techniques for growing, producing, and adorning bark cloth, but most importantly, through hours and hours of beating. Our bodies contain memory, and our toi Māori practices activate that knowing. I want to bring you back to the first pieces that I painted. I had a long time to think about the kinds of marks I wanted to make on my Aote. 5 years, in fact. I spent 5 years focused solely on learning to make the cloth. This piece is called Te Whaiao, which is the face between Te Pō and Te Ao Marama. These pieces reflected my emergence from a space of wānanga, mai te kura huna ki te kura whāki. I was ready to adorn my pieces and stand in the world of light, exposed but determined, and in 2018 I committed to doing Aote full time. Following my emergence, I experienced huge support from Te Ao Māori and Tangata Tiriti, and some of you are here tonight, and I just want to give a big mihi to those who have supported me over the last years. In 3 years, I made Aote for 15 exhibitions, both here and abroad. I was intentional about how I sold my work, preferring to build relationships with people and selective galleries, sidestepping the traditional dealer pathway. I was determined to be independent and never compromise my Māori worldview, from the process of making sustainably to who would become kaitiaki for my toi Aote after it had left me. I was invited by Toi Ngāpuhi to teach at their first Taiohi Taioha wānanga in Omapere. Bethany Edmonds harvested these Aote, and with this amazing rōpū, we made Aote together. This was a significant moment for me, as Toi Ngāpuhi allowed me to imagine the full potential of Aote in Te Taitokero. I was so proud of the pieces everyone made, and even more proud that their first pieces were way better than my first pieces. And I encourage you to be the mentor you never had and teach in the way you wish you had been taught. Rongomai Gerbert Hoskins was one of the taiohi in this rōpū, and in this wānanga I saw her focus and commitment to executing her piece of Aote to its full potential. Aote is a physically hard practice, but you also need to have strong mental endurance and capacity to focus for a really long period of time. I asked Rongomai if she wanted to become a tauira of Aote, and the following year we developed Te Uru Aote, with the care and support of Toi Ngāpuhi, and every iwi needs a Toi Ngāpuhi. Te Uru Aote is an apprenticeship program designed to expand the practice and begin our 100-year succession plan. I taught Rongomai the entire practice from harvest to adornment, and in a few months I passed on all my years of learning. One of the highlights was running this wānanga at Mai Marae in Motukaraka, ki Hokianga, with the same amazing Toi Ngāpuhi cohort. And Rongomai went from student to teacher as she guided her teina through the process of first beat to second beat to adorning their pieces with kōkō wai. Rongomai also helped me create Toi Aote for the Aichi Triennale in Tokoname, Japan. Aote is a physical practice. It is messy and hard, but through intention, Aote can be transformed and elevated to contain our pūrākau and knowledge systems. All physical things first begin as an idea. Papa Te Wārahi Heteraka laid down the wero to create 12 manu Aote, and I finally felt ready to begin the journey of materializing my manu Aote. It felt like jumping into the void again, because there were so many elements to making kites. There was more plant materials to gather and new processes to incorporate. I used kākaho and kareao, tikumu, raupo and muka, and it was so beautiful to see all of our taiao materials intermingling. We made 17 manu Aote for Season Gallery and called the show Manu Aote Rererunga Hau, and they were destined to fly. Curator Cosmin Kostinas saw these manu and asked me to make 100 manu for the foyer of the House of World Cultures in Berlin. Sometimes it's good to have really big challenges like these because it shows you what you're really capable of achieving. My final piece of advice is be prolific. Work hard to allow all of your ideas to come out of you. They are there, waiting to be materialized and activated. And execute everything to the highest level of excellence. Be like our tupuna. Rongomai and I have just come back from this amazing trip to Berlin, where we hung our manu Aote in this incredible exhibition, O Quilombismo. And next month, we begin a project to create 5 manu Aote as big as me, and hopefully I'll get to fly them over the Hokianga like 2 horonuku. Hei whakakapi, I want you to think about your idea that exists in the great void, waiting to be given body, form, and light. What is your idea that you are willing to take through the rigors of our creative process? Toi Māori is the materialization of our whakaaro Māori, and it is potent and essential to the maintenance of our Toi Māori practices and knowledge systems. Our Māori world is so rich and fully formed, there is an endless puna of concepts to draw from. In the words of my friend Hannah Burgess, we are the meeting point of generational relations. What do we do with this window of influence? And my pātai to you is, what are your ideas waiting to be pulled through? And how will you further the whakapapa of Toi Māori? Mai te kore te pō ki te whaiao, tukua ki te ao marama, mauri ora e te whānau.